Crysencio Summerville. So after the game against Japan, I made a lot of research because honestly, this guy impressed me after the game against Japan. So I made a lot of research about him. And in this video, I'm going to explain to you his strengths and weaknesses, what you need to know about Crysencio Summerville. Because after the game against Japan, a lot of top teams like Man U, Chelsea, Bayern, Liverpool are interested in this guy. So before you want your club to sign this guy, this is what you need to know about Crysencio Summerville. So stay in the video so you know more about him. So Crysencio Summerville is a Dutch winger who plays for West Ham United in the Premier League. But unfortunately for them, they got relegated recently. So first of all, we are going to start with Summerville style of play. So listen carefully so you will know Crysencio Summerville style of play. So first of all, he's very explosive winger. If you watch his game, you already know that this guy has a lot of pace. This guy runs a lot. He's very fast. He's energetic, you know. So another one is dribbling. I think in the Premier League, for me personally, after Jeremy Doku, I feel like Crysencio Summerville is another player that is very, very good at dribbling because he uses both feet very quick. If you watch the game against Japan, I think first half or early on in the second half, he was playing on the right wing. So later in the game, I think he came on the left. So that actually tells you, even the goal he scored against Japan actually came on the right wing with his left foot. So that actually tells you what you need to know about Crysencio Summerville dribbling pace and 1v1 skills. You know, another one is direct attacking runs. This guy is very, very good at transition. You know, he's fast. You know, I feel like one of the most teams this guy is going to fit in is a team that plays most of their football, you know, counter-attacking football. But if he goes to a team that dominates at times, I feel like he might struggle. But one of his strengths is counter-attack. On counter-attack, this guy is very, very good. Another one you need to know is that this guy, when I haven't watched, you know, West Ham games a lot this season, a lot of West Ham games this season. I haven't actually watched a lot of them. But when I watched, you know, especially the game against Japan, when I watched that game, bro, this guy really actually impressed me, which he actually scored a goal, a banker of a goal, topped it up with that kind of performance. So if you honestly understand what I mean by a banker of goal, you need to go and rewatch that Japan versus Netherlands game. Because after that game, a lot of reports have came out that, look, this big clubs has been linked to Summerville. And I'm not even surprised because I watched the game 100%. And personally for me, I was impressed until he was substituted off. So I'm going to tell you his goal and assist. So you will know if he's very, very good on goal scoring ability. He has a lot of goal scoring abilities or something like that. But pay attention so you understand this guy goal contribution for West Ham and last year and last 2 years. So last year, club only, he scored 5 goals and 2 assists in 31 Premier League. So if you watch this guy, I feel like last season was not one of his best seasons because I've actually heard about this guy. I've tracked this guy, performance-wise, relatedly, recently, because I feel like last year wasn't his best season. Because in 2023, especially in 2023, that's 2023-2024 season with Leeds United in the Championship, I feel like that was his best career season. He scored 20 goals with 9 assists. So that's how to tell you that was one of his best seasons he has had. I think that time he was 22 years old or 21. So but he's still very, very young that time. But I feel like the level of Premier League and Champions League are very, very different. So Premier League is much more harder to score goals than Championship. Credit to Championship defenders, stuff like that. But we all know that Premier League is very, very tougher than Championship. So I feel like yes, he had the best one of the breakout season, which led him to joining West Ham in 2023-2024 season. So another thing you need to know about Crysencio Summerville is why top teams like this guy. Just listen, I'm going to tell you why top teams like this Crysencio Summerville a lot. Because first reason I'm going to tell you about why top teams love this guy a lot is because he's very fast and unpredictable winger. I'm 100% sure. I have actually watched the guy and I have seen it. Because when I watch young players, I actually make research before I come out to make anything about them. Because you actually need the research. And after I made this research, it was perfect with, it was the same thing with what I watched this guy about. He's very fast, unpredictable. You get? Because he's just like Dembele. Let's just say, Dembele type, because both of his feet, he can actually use it. Dembele as a player, you don't know if he's going to shoot with his right or his left, stuff like that. But I feel like, yes, Crysencio Summerville is that type of player, very unpredictable.
You don't know when he's going to shoot, when he's going to pass, when he's going to make a cross. Because he's actually one of the best players when in Premier League, best young players when it comes to dribbling. I didn't watch a lot of Western games last season, but the ones I've watched against Japan and against the Manchester United second leg, that 1-1 draw, I felt like, yes, this guy is really, really good, because against Dalot had a tough time, trying to keep this guy in the game, you get. So I feel like that's one of his strengths. Another one is can play on both flanks. I've actually seen it. This is one of the major reasons why a lot of top clubs want him, and I have seen it. This guy can play both sides. He can play on the right, he can play on the left. And in this recent time, it's actually very difficult, to find wingers that can play on both sides. A right-footed winger that can play on the right and actually play on the left. So you understand that Summerville is one type of player that is actually very good on both sides. The goal, if you want to understand why I said he's actually good on both sides, go and watch the goal. He's good against Japan. This guy goal against Japan, said it all. He left-footed cross. I don't know if it's a cross or a direction, but that was, intentional. That goal was actually intentional for him, because he caught inside, received the ball, boom, and all you can see is goal immediately on his left foot. Having that confidence, to try the shot with your left foot at the right-footed player, is unbelievable. Another one is dangerous in transition. I feel like if Man U wants this guy, Man U is going to benefit a lot, because at the moment Man U is one of those teams that is best in counter-attacking. In the Premier League, Man U is actually the best team when it comes to counter-attacking football. Let's just tell ourselves the truth. Man U is very the best, very good at counter-attacking play. So having a player as fast and as good when it comes to counter-attacking as Crysencio, Summerville, bro, that's a plus one, a boost for that attacking team. Because when I watched a goal against Burnley last season, if you see the counter-attack West Ham used to score Burnley, even Kai Walker couldn't catch this guy. This has to tell you how fast this Crysencio Summerville is. This has to tell you how fast this guy is. So if any team that if he wants to to do well in the future, I feel like he should choose a team that their football is based off on counter-attacking. Because most of times I watch this guy, when this guy is on counter-attacking, he's very good at beating his man on 1v1. So if he goes to a team that basically plays on counter-attacking football, believe me, this guy is going to shine a lot. Because at Leeds United last 2023-2024, he performed best, because that year Leeds were very good on attacking and counter-attack. And if you watch that game, that season, him and Daniel James were one of the least best players that year. So for the last but not the least, I'm going to tell you his strengths and weaknesses. Here is what all of us have been waiting for. His strengths and his weaknesses. So his strength is dribbling and pace. I've said it in this video a lot of times. He's very good at dribbling, and he has a lot of pace. He's up there with Jeremy Doku. Those guys that can actually dribble with, they have a lot of pace, and actually at the same time, and Diamonde, all these guys. So I feel like that's his major strength. I've said it a couple of times in the video that this guy is very good at dribbling, and he also has a lot of pace, to back it up. You get. So his weakness is what a lot of top teams might not, like to hear, because when you play in big teams and you have this type of weakness, I feel like it's going to be very difficult for you to adapt, because the fans and the pressure is going to be on you, and that weakness is his end product. If we are being honest, if you watch Crysencio Summerville, you actually accept in this weakness, because some of the chances this guy has to finish, and his end product has been poor. He needs to actually improve on that, in the future, so that he can actually make a top move. Because if this guy goes to a club like Man United, and let's say Man U eventually signs him now, and he misses 4 to 5 chances in a game, has 5 goals and 5 assists, the pressure will be different from playing for West Ham. The fan base will actually see it as a failure. So that's the things he needs to know when you want to play for Man United. You need to know your end product as a striker, as a winger, as Man U needs to improve. You can't have 5 goals and 2 assists play for Man U in 31 appearance. This is the type of things, if you want to make a big switch to a club like Man U or Chelsea, Liverpool, this fan base can never give you that time, to improve more. Like, you need to improve it now going into this type of big teams, because you now play Champions League football, that any missed opportunity is going to hurt your team. you play a bigger game, more intense game, that any missed opportunity your team might actually end up regretting it. So I feel like this is one of the most area he needs to improve. I like Crysencio Summerville. I like the way he play. He's very, very direct. One of the most direct players in the Premier League last season, apart from Jeremy Doku for me. Apart from Jeremy Doku, because Jeremy Doku is very, very crazy when it comes to 1v1. Same pattern of skills, but he's still going to dribble you. So you get. So I feel like he needs to improve in his end product, or else he's going to, maybe should I say, suffer or stuff like that. Or he's going to hinder him, maybe making that big switch. Because if you watch his goal and assist, you can actually see he has 5 goals and 2 assists, and it's not impressive for any winger in the Premier League wanting to make a move to a club like mine. So if he wants to be very, very good, be talked about, Ballon d'Or nominated, you get that stuff. He's still very young. I think 24 years old, and at current when I'm making this video, he's 24 years old. He might be 25 in October. But he needs to improve in his end product, to be that world-class player every player wants to be in their career. So he actually needs to improve in this area the most. You get his end product. That's one of the things he's lacking. You get. So good luck.